Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more awesome content.
Moments, he said, if you are your parents' only child, step back. At this, a few soldiers retreated. A while later, he said, if you have only one child, step back. A few more soldiers retreated. He then commanded, those without prior battle experience, step back. The young soldiers, eager for their first battle, retreated with reluctance. Finally, Hechchamanayaka told those nearing retirement to step back, and they too moved back. With many soldiers retreating, the remaining force was now smaller than the Muslim army. Pointing at the reduced army, Hechchamanayaka said to Makbul, now our army is much smaller than yours. At least now, fight us. Makbul, in turn, replied, there's no need to kill all your men. Killing just you will be enough to accomplish our task. He then drew his sword and attempted to stab Hechchamanayaka in the abdomen. But Hechchamanayaka swiftly dodged the attack, breaking Makbul's arm and grabbing him. So, Malik Kafur isn't here? Hechchamanayaka asked. Makbul, in a trembling voice, confirmed, no, he isn't. Hechchamanayaka then asked, if I kill you, will he come? Makbul, summoning some courage, replied, he will definitely come. He will arrive with a vast army and erase you and your city from existence. His voice carried a hint of pride. That's exactly what I want to draw him here, Hechchamanayaka said as he placed his sword against Makbul's throat. Fearful, Makbul pleaded, stop. Don't kill me. Let's negotiate a peace. What kind of peace talks can we have with those who came to destroy our city and kingdom? Hechchamanayaka asked before slashing Makbul's throat, thus signaling the start of the battle. In just a few moments, the entire area was filled with the atmosphere of battle. The war, which started this way, quickly intensified within minutes. Although Hechchamanayaka's army was smaller, their brave fighting soon began to diminish the strength of the Turushkas. Realizing that defeat was inevitable, Qasim attempted to flee with his army. However, the soldiers who had been standing back until then surrounded the Turushkas, blocking their escape with their shields, leaving them no way out. With no other option, the Turushkas had to fight Hechchamanayaka's army. The Hampi soldiers systematically killed each member of the Turushka army, sparing only one. The lone survivor stood trembling with fear. One of the Hampi soldiers caught him and asked Hechchamanayaka, leader, only this one is left. Should we kill him too? Hechchamanayaka replied, no, someone has to be left to tell Malik Kafur what happened here. Go back and tell him that this Hampi city is waiting, ready to become his graveyard whenever he dares to come. He then let the lone survivor go, who, thankful for his life, ran away without looking back at the city. As the battle concluded by noon, the people of Hampi celebrated the victory as a festival. Observing the people rejoicing, Gandana asked Chika Viranarasima, what is this, Lord? What did we expect, and what is happening here? Chinna Viranarasima, biting his nails, replied, everything takes time, Gandana. Besides, the feast doesn't begin just because the house is cleaned. Just watch, and he moved toward his quarters with determination. Hechchamanayaka placed the items and wealth seized from the Tarushka camps in a pile before the king and said, "King, you can now send letters to all the feudatories informing them that their tribute has been received." The king smiled, stood up from his throne, and said, "Well done, Hechchamanayaka. You have proven the trust one placed in you, your loyalty to the kingdom, and your capabilities all at once. This will certainly be a fitting answer to those who doubted your patriotism. No one will oppose you becoming the protector of this city now." In response, Hechchamanayaka humbly said, "King, I did not fight this battle to secure my position. I fought solely to protect my kingdom. Whether I hold any position or not, I will always fight with all my strength whenever my kingdom needs protection. Please grant me leave, King. It's time to oversee the city's defenses." The king, smiling, gave him permission to leave. As Hechchamanayaka departed, the general who had doubted him the previous night praised him before the king, saying, "You were right, King. Hechchamanayaka is not someone who works for positions but someone who works for the kingdom." The king replied, "It's because we have someone like him that I can remain free from worry about the protection of this city." He then stayed to supervise the collection of the seized wealth into the treasury. After the battle, Hechchamanayaka organized a meeting with all those responsible for the city's defense and said, "From today, you all must be even more vigilant. Malik Kafur could attack our city at any time. Those on night duty must be especially careful. Don't hesitate to contact me at any time if you have any concerns. Perform your duties with utmost caution." With that, Hechchamanayaka moved toward his residence. From that day on, the guards protecting the city were as vigilant as Hechchamanayaka had instructed. As days passed without any sign of Malik Kafur approaching Hampi, Hechchamanayaka became suspicious and went to see the king. "King, if Malik Kafur knows what happened here, he should have already come to seek revenge. But he hasn't come. What could have happened? Before he attacks our kingdom, I propose we strike first and eliminate him from South India altogether. If you permit, I will lead an attack on him with some of our forces," he said. The king, smiling, replied, "He left South India long ago and headed toward Delhi to quell political conspiracies in his own kingdom. There's no need to worry about him. He may never return to this kingdom. It's not worry, King, but vengeance. I must kill him to avenge my father's death," Hechchamanayaka said through gritted teeth. The king responded, "You may not have the chance to fulfill that vengeance. The political situation in Delhi is unstable, and it's likely that Malik Kafur, along with a lord in Khilji, will fall victim to those politics." Realizing that he might never get the chance to kill the man who murdered his father, Hechchamanayaka felt a pang of regret as he left to carry out his duties. As the political situation in Delhi became unstable, those in power there were too preoccupied to consider launching a campaign against South India. This gave the southern regions some time to heal from the wounds inflicted by Malik Kafur's previous invasions. Prataparudra was tirelessly working to restore the former glory of Warangal. The Pandya city of Madurai had fallen into the hands of the Sultanate, and the Kanchipuram University was destroyed beyond repair. Hechchamanayaka, who had studied there, was deeply saddened to see the university in ruins. However, some wounds could only be healed by time. As days passed, Hechchamanayaka continued his duties as usual. The night guards were handing over their duties to the morning shift as they prepared to return home. Those reporting for duty were signing the attendance registers and heading off to their respective posts. While reviewing the attendance register and inquiring if the soldiers had encountered any issues, Hechchamanayaka's dear friend Kadi approached him and asked, "Leader, have you finished your duties?" Hechchamanayaka smiled, looked up at Kadi, and said, "You can call me Dust, friend, as always since you're not on duty now." I only addressed you that way because I thought you were still on duty, Kadi replied. Anyway, shall we go now? Yes, let's go. Just let me double-check the attendance register. Give me a moment, Hechchamanayaka said. To this, Kadi, playfully acting overly obedient, said, As you command, leader, I shall wait, and sat down on a nearby stone bench. Hechchamanayaka chuckled at Kadi's exaggerated display of obedience. After finishing his work, he said, All right, let's go, and Kadi got up to walk with him towards home. As they were walking, Kadi hesitantly asked, Dust, may I ask you something? You won't mind, right? You're the only true friend I have. I would never think ill of you. Ask whatever's on your mind, Hechchamanayaka replied. Kadi, still a bit unsure, said, In all these years, haven't you ever felt the desire to get married? Will you ever get married? You and I are nearly the same age, around 27 years old. I have an 11-year-old son now, but you still haven't gotten married. I'm happy with my family, but you're still living alone. I don't know how you feel, but seeing you like this makes me feel a bit sad. If you found a girl and got married, you could have a family of your own. Then you could be happy with your family, just like me. If you agree, there's a 15-year-old girl in our relatives who has just come of age. I could talk to her family and arrange it. But you have to say yes. Do you know how many girls in this city would be eager to marry you? Hechchamanayaka paused for a moment and said, What is my age and what is her age? How can I marry such a young girl? The woman I marry should be at least 22 years old. Kadi replied, What's wrong with that? Did you know that my father was 20 years older than my mother? And who nowadays waits until a girl is 20 to get her married? Some girls are even married off at 7 years old. Hechchamanayaka countered, No matter what you say, how can such a young girl understand me? With all the wars and defense duties, I'm often traveling across the country for months. How could she manage alone in an empty house? Kadi answered cheekily, If she can't manage alone, she can bring her parents to live with her. Enough, stop it, Hechchamanayaka said, lightly tapping Kadi on the cheek. Anyway, I won't think about marriage until I find a woman who truly matches my nature. Kadi then asked, And when will that girl appear? Hechchamanayaka responded in Urdu, How would I know? Only Allah knows that. He then began walking toward his home. Kadi looked up at the sky and muttered, Ye kia hai, Allah? Then, wiping his face with his hands, he too began walking toward his home. After taking a short rest at home, Hechchamanayaka set out for the large Rama temple located in the center of the city, where he was overseeing the security arrangements. The temple was bustling with people, as a wedding ceremony for Lord Rama was taking place. The streets around the temple were filled with devotees singing bhajans, listening to Harikatha performances, and enjoying traditional dances. Vendors were selling puja items, keeping busy with the large crowd. Elephants, brought for the festival, stood at the temple's entrance, gently swaying their trunks. A child, excited and a little scared, ran away laughing after feeding bananas to one of the elephants, which took them with its trunk. After taking a short rest at home, Hechchamanayaka set out for the large Rama temple located in the center of the city, where he was overseeing the security arrangements. The temple was bustling with people, as a wedding ceremony for Lord Rama was taking place. The streets around the temple were filled with devotees singing bhajans, listening to Harikatha performances, and enjoying traditional dances. Vendors were selling puja items, keeping busy with the large crowd. Elephants, brought for the festival, stood at the temple's entrance, gently swaying their trunks. A child, excited and a little scared, ran away laughing after feeding bananas to one of the elephants, which took them with its trunk. Everyone entering the temple was subject to such inspection, with the sole exception of the king. King. However, even the king was not allowed to enter the temple grounds with weapons. They had to be left at the gate and were returned only after the person completed their temple visit. The temple was of great historical significance, and it also housed a mint where coins were struck, which made it necessary for the king to implement strict security measures. Hechchamanayaka moved through the temple, checking to see if the arrangements he had made to manage the crowd were in place. As he inspected for any shortcomings, he made sure that any issues were addressed. After ensuring that everything was running smoothly, he headed toward a room located in one corner of the temple. Two strong gatekeepers stood there, who respectfully opened the door for Hechchamanayaka. He entered the room and removed a stone cover, revealing a tunnel that led to the underground mint. This mint was accessible only to the highest-ranking officials. As Hechchamanayaka toured the mint, he observed the process of melting gold, silver, and copper to create coins. After ensuring that everything was proceeding without any problems, he asked an officer inside if everything was in order, to which the officer replied that all was well. Satisfied, Hechchamanayaka left the mint through the same tunnel. By the time he emerged, the wedding ceremony of Sita and Rama had concluded, and a discourse was underway. As Hechchamanayaka walked slowly, admiring the sculptures on the temple walls, he could hear the words of the discourse clearly. The priest was saying, blinded by lust, Ravana kidnapped Sita, thereby sealing his own doom. At that moment, a devotee stood up and asked, Swami, is lust really that bad? The priest replied, yes, my son, anyone who becomes a slave to lust is destined for destruction. Unable to answer this question, the priest tried. Unable to answer this question. Unable to answer.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more awesome content. See you next time.